Um, I was born into a good Christian church attending family, was raised by my parents to fear God. My parents were and are believers in Jesus Christ. And when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I prayed with my parents to receive salvation and be saved. I was a good church kid that knew a lot of answers to questions and didn't commit any major sins that people could see in my life. I was doing pretty good in mine and most people's eyes. In reality, my identity wasn't really in Jesus during those young years. I just did Christian things because that's what I was supposed to do. My faith was works-based, even though I would deny that, because most of my identity was just based on not doing certain things. Something that sticks out in my mind happened in a Christian worldview class I was taking in 9th grade. I was asked to explain why I was a Christian, and I drew a blank in front of the teacher and class. I legitimately couldn't give a solid reason why I was a follower of the Lord. This lukewarmness in my life gave way to sin getting a foothold in my life in my early teens. Sin consumed me as a young man and followed me all throughout my teens. There was an addiction in my life that I could not break on my own, no matter how hard I tried foolishly on my own without asking God's help. It opened me up to shame and lies that I kept inside me, such as, "You aren't good enough and you'll never be free." I even listened to the lie that marriage would help my problems, which was a massive burden to place on someone's shoulders. My wife Eve and I struggled through our first year of marriage as I kept living in unconfessed sin and let my emotions rule a lot of my life. Finally, early this year, my wife found out my secret sin that I had been keeping from her. It broke me, her and me, and I was in a dark place. I was in a place of brokenness that I had never been before. I wasn't on my own anymore, and sin had affected more than me, but my wife also. I knew in that moment that I had to surrender my life to the Lord and ask His forgiveness. I had to commit my life fully to the Lord and let go of the way I was living. A weight was lifted off my shoulders as I knew that Jesus had paid for my sins with His blood and I had been forgiven. And as I began my new walk with the Lord, my wife noticed a change in the way I carried myself and treated others. God softened my heart towards serving in the church and being in community. I finally wanted to treat others the way Jesus would and make His name known. I actually desired to read my Bible and grow in my walk with the Lord. If you are living in sin or think you are beyond help, I would highly encourage you to confess to someone and turn to our Father who is merciful and wants a relationship with us. 1 John 1:9 says, "If we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness."